Late afternoon, early evening, ladies and gents. It's Wednesday, the 21st of October, 2:20. It's the peasant, the prodigious, the prominent professor, proclamation news and governance. We've recently been talking about sociological change throughout society and the inequalities. Um, Today we're looking at more things like sporadic knife crime, tragic incidents, and what's going on through Parliament with Brexit. As you see, some of my posts, my scripture on my social media, I'm worried about the rich getting richer, and the middle class people getting poorer, possible losing their houses due to COVID-19. Absolute distraught families throughout the UK. My goodness, just dropped my phone. Bear with me, ladies and gents. I have to put something behind that. There we go. Sorted now. Sorry about that. Thank you all for actually coming together this evening. I'm going to start off with Hertfordshire. One of my old constituencies, Grant Shapps. I wonder how he's prioritising these sporadic knife crimes. It's been two since Christmas. Well, two that I know of. It's another stabbing in Hertfordshire, Hatfield. An old constituency, I was just saying. Grant Shapps. What do you reckon they're going to do with these sporadic knife crimes? I mean, I've come up with some ideas in the past, but trying to get people to sign your petition, I've got about much chances at a chocolate fire guard getting people to sign my petition. Although I'll come up with some good strategies, good formation how to tackle it. If people sign it or not, it's a different matter. I think money motivates people. That's the trouble. Money motivates people. It's always a way because you pay into a petition and it seems to advertise better, and more other people start signing petitions. Anyway, here we go. Well, I hope so. Here we go. Right. My computer's running really slow. This is not so good. I've got three devices. Here we go. Teenagers. An air ambulance was called to the scene. This is later. This has been produced today. A 7-year-old boy was taken to hospital with suspended stab wounds, police have confirmed. Officers were called to Aviation Avenue in Hatfield, Hertfordshire. At around 4 p.m. yesterday, not today, Tuesday, October the 20th. Police the East of England Ambulance Service and Air Ambulance all attended the scene near a David Lloyd gym. The victim was taken to hospital for treatment to chest and leg wounds. His injuries are not believed to be life-threatening or life-changing at this time. Detectives are now appealing for witnesses and information. If you're looking for a way to start today with the latest breaking news around Hertfordshire, look at the Hearts Live newsletter. Obviously, I'll get all my journalism. I'm not just It's not all my own notes. A lot of the time, I do put my own notes in, but not always. Thank you, fan. I appreciate that. Officers remained in the area for police cordons were in place until around 9 p.m. as an investigation into the incident was carried out. Detective Inspector Sophia Adams at the Welling Hatfield Local Crime Unit said, our inquiries into the incident are continuing at this time, and as a part of this, we are appealing for anyone who saw what happened and hasn't yet spoken to police to please come forward. Were you in Aviation Avenue at the time of the incident? If so, I'd like to hear from you. So anyone on all my social media, if you're in Hatfield near the David Lloyd gym and you see something happen, you should come forward. Sporadic knife crime needs to stop. Don't worry about what society thinking up your grass. You could be a local hero getting rid of the juveniles off the street. I'm particularly keen to trace a taxi driver who believed may have witnessed the assault. We would like to reassure the community that we believe this is to be an isolated incident between parties known to each other. Additionally, we are increasing our patrols in the area following this incident to provide extra reassurance to members of the public. If you are able to help, Sophia Adams can be contacted at our email sophia.adams at hearts.pnn.police.uk. Sophia.adams at hearts.pnn.police.uk. If anyone's got any information, hand it in because you need to get his juveniles off the street. You've got to have children and nieces and nephews growing up. Do you want them to be brought up, man? Sporadic knife crime. Possibility of chance getting stabbed to death themselves if you don't make action. An East of England ambulance service spokesperson added, "We sent an ambulance, two rapid response vehicles, and an Essex and Herts air ambulance to Mosquito Way at around 4 p.m. yesterday, Tuesday, October 20th, after receiving reports that a man has been stabbed. Crews treat a male patient at the scene before transporting him by the road to hospital for further assessment and care. Anyone with any information, you can call 101, quoting incident reference number 519 of October 20. If you know something, you should come forward. Why should these juveniles get away with stabbing people, getting away with it? Getting away with it? It's not big and it's not clever. Is it a brave thing to do to take a knife out and stab someone? No. What was his parents doing? I've gone wider. I've gone to broader, hopefully broader aspirations. Hopefully I can inspire people to come forward. I'm on Facebook as well now. Baby, there's a baby in hospital. Another tragic baby in hospital. Audi supermarket car park. What was the driver doing? Not looking in his mirrors, no doubt. Reversing. A baby has been taken to hospital after reportedly falling out of buggy when a car hit it in a supermarket car park. Was it old lady, old man driving the car probably? The incident happened in the car park of the Audi supermarket at Rushbottom Lane in Benfleet in Essex. Emergency services were called to the supermarket at around 11:15 a.m. today, Wednesday, 21st of October. Photographs are taken of the scene show a police cordon in the place, along with a number of police cars at least have since dispersed while the police continue at work at the scene. The spokesperson for Essex Police has said, called shortly after 7:15 a.m. on Wednesday, the 21st October, with reports that a baby had fallen from the buggy as it drove past. The baby was taken to hospital as a precautionary measure. Police inquiries are ongoing, and anyone who has witnessed the incident or was in the area and has a dashcam footage are asked to contact 101, quoting the reference 522 of the 21st of October. Any information can be given anonymously to the independent charity of Crime Stoppers. And these are, why was not looking in the mirror? Were they old folks? Are they fit and well to drive? That's what you need to start asking them. Or was they driving under sleep deprivation, not paying attention? Was they driving on the phone? Questions that ain't answered. If you ask yourself, put yourself in their shoes. People ain't coming forward because they're scared of being a grass. It's not being a grass. You're doing that. You getting rid of all the juveniles, the monstrosities of the society. You need to come forward. Makes sense. When reality relies on yourself, you need to go into these places to tuition your brain back to normality. Think of the morality of it all, the whole consideration. You need to come forward. Simple. Heartburn. Phenomenal. Might be a bit bona fide conservatism, obviously, because it's me. It's my wife's choice of party politics, if you like. But it's not all about politics. It's about tragic as well. Let's have a look at this devastating impact of Tier 2 restrictions told by business owners. That's what I'm saying. I talk about the sociology of it all. The society. The middle class going to a whole national lockdown again. If going to whole national lockdowns, it's a big chance people could start losing their homes. How long is this furlough scheme going to go on for? Case of where the rich get richer, the middle class get poorer. There's going to be more poor people in the society, and they will be rich. Anyway, Essex coronavirus, a devastating impact of tier 2 restrictions held by Chelmsford business owners. It's tough because the volume of independent businesses in Chelmsford are fighting for survival. This winter, the county moves into a tier 2 lockdown. Last Thursday, October 17th, the area moved to tier 1 on a medium alert, or to tier 2 on high alert. Term impacts could be catastrophic for business owners. Under the new rules, people living in areas under the jurisdiction of Essex County will not be allowed to meet up with others outside their household or support bubble in any indoor setting. It's another huge blow to the hospitality sector. Restaurant bookings have been cancelled, and business owners in Essex are fearing customers will lie about their living situation. Some have said they feel exposed, forced to rely on the honesty of their customers to allow new rules. Here's what business owners of the Malsham Street think of the loyal regulars. I was watching the PMQ. I talked about that in a sec. We've luckily we're lucky because established at the garden centre of 5 years, building up to the customer base. And if we didn't have, we would be struggling now. The tea room has seats, 31 people upstairs and downstairs, and offers a range of cake and lunches. Despite having the furlough, two members of staff, businesses is boom. At Luby's tea room, which has been packed at lunchtime on Thursday of October 16th. However, Sue and Natalie have some concerns about the new tier 2 rules. Going into um, tier 3 restrictions, how are we going to get ourselves, how are we going to prioritise us to get out of there? So Boris Johnson said, if we don't, we need to lower the R level. But realistically, people need to take the rules and regulations of the tier 3 rather than taking it for granted. That's the biggest issue. People talking about no mask on, walk around the supermarket, going shopping, meeting up with friends, going to going to groupings, all them sort of things. Shouldn't be doing it. Should not for everyone else. You've got to take restrictions religiously. We will just have to treat people and hope they are honest. We are a bit unsure about how we will police the new rules, Sue said. We'll have to ask people if they are from the same household, but now we know. We will just have to trust people and how they are honest with us. People's health is our main priority. I don't think people have anything to worry about if all the rules are followed and establishments are social distancing and religiously cleaning everything. Sue fears the move into Tier 2 will have a devastating impact on the city centre, especially for small independent businesses. Small business bring individuality, she said. I feel Malsham Street is full of character because of the variety of shops it has, but smaller independents just can't afford to pay the rates in Chelmsford. From the new to the old Springfield florist, it celebrated its 20 years anniversary at Malsham Street last week of October the 15th. And owner Gemma Hannis thinks the move of the Tier 2 is an act of scarmongering, she added. I think the scarmongering people and they are doing well because people are anxious to come out. Gemma is hopeful that the Molson Street will not only survive but thrive when the biggest stores start closing down. Street is becoming a bit like its own little Chelmsford, she said. People are being able to get everything they need here, from hairdressers to the farm shop. Drags people away from the city, which is bad for shops, but they're good for us. I think it's big stores that will go first because of their overheads. Has had to adapt her ways throughout lockdown, and now she has started a new home delivery service. While wedding related work has been slower than usual, she says business is going well. I mean, weddings are going to be at churches, they can be not happening. How are they going to work? How are funerals going to work? I'm, I'm having a bit of a technical issue today, and what is going on with the technical issue? This technical issue is like COVID-19. It's getting me down. Oh, it'll be coming back, don't worry. Bear with me, ladies and gents. While you're here, please subscribe and build my following. My shows, I've always got a phenomenal show with up to date. I've got more regional news today, as well as I've got more regional news as well as UK politics. Let's get back to where we was. I've got to try and let's go on this. I lost all my page. I've lost all my page. I hate when that happens. Why is it doing this to me? Bear with me, shit. I don't know if this is playing up. I don't even know what's going on right now. I really don't. It's not kind of show I really wanted right now. Where is my stuff? Oh, right. This computer's running ever so slow. We want to get into what's going on around the globe. Is anyone feeling anxious? You know, everyone's mental health, having domestics in the house, need to get out of the house or can't think of anything to do to keep your mind occupied. Who's struggling? Who is struggling? I'm busy. You know, I always find things to do. If I'm not making a nuisance of my singing, I'm doing my artwork. Keep my head above water. Keep myself busy. I don't think this is gonna. I don't think we're gonna comprehend on this show. To be honest, yeah, I have an absolute technical issue. It's not what I wanted. Oh, something I enjoy does not go to plan. How does that even work out? How does that even work out? How does that even work out? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Going back. We're back in action, ladies and gents. I don't know. I couldn't answer what happened there. You guys still here? You guys on you? Oh, you still here? Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of a vape there, a bit naughty, but here we go. UK, my goodness. Boris Johnson blamed London Mayor for TfL bankruptcy before COVID-19. London Mayor. Who's the London Mayor? Sadiq Khan, isn't it? Who knows about? See, you need to know about your party politics. Labour, one of Labour's Labour leaders, not Labour leader, one of Labour Party's, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. Boris Johnson has claimed Transport for London was effectively bankrupt even before the outbreak of COVID-19. The comments come after Sadiq Khan accused the government of Dockwanian demands in return of a second bailout. Do you reckon he's spending the money? Sadiq Khan's probably buying himself a mansion. But the Prime Minister said any need to increase fares was entirely responsibility of the London Mayor. Mr. Khan responded by calling the PM a liar and said he had cut the operations deficit left by Mr. Johnson when he was mayor in 2016 by 86%. The mayor has told BBC, it gives me no pleasure in saying so, but our Prime Minister today on the floor of the House of Commons has lied. We as a transport authority really hugely hugely on transport. Really, I was going to rely hugely on transport fares from Londoners, and more than 9% of that has dried up, which is why we need a COVID bailout from the government. What the government is doing instead is punishing Londoners by imposing all sorts of Dockwanian conditions. The mayor previously said ministers aim to impose a triple whammy of measures in return to rescue funding to cover the losses incurred through COVID-19. The proposals include higher council taxes and expanding congestion charge zone, and a hike in tube and bus fares. Mr Johnson told Commons on Wednesday the current mayor of London had effectively bankrupted TfL before coronavirus had hit and left a massive black hole in its finances. COVID-19 is affecting everything, but this is before coronavirus. It's going to affect it even more now, isn't it? Any need to make up the deficit is entirely down to him. It is entirely his responsibility. Any expansion of the congestion charge or any measure taken to improve the finances of the TfL are entirely the responsibility of the bankrupt current Labour Mayor of London. The Department of Transport said talks over the settlement were continuing. Do you reckon they can just print loads of money? Just print him loads, print him, I don't know, £10 trillion. There you go, said it can't. Problem solved. It's only money, isn't it? You just print money. Should they're the government? Surely they can, ring up Bank of Scotland, Bank of England. I want £10 trillion, please, paid into the TfL. Surely they can just do that. They're the government. The absolute sovereignty over the whole land. It's only paper. Get the factory workers printing their notes quicker, faster. Let's fix up this infrastructure once and for all. Surely, being in the driving seat as Prime Minister, got the power to do that. Just press that button. 10 trillion, £20 notes, no problem. Labour's deputy leader, Andrew Rayner, said, "We know we now have a Prime Minister so determined to punish a Labour mayor that he wants to whack a transport tax and his own constituents. Yet still, they refuse to take on a decisive national action needed. Instead, they have tried to play people off against each other, divide and misrule." Mr Khan has told a TfL board meeting, "Now it is not time for the government to play party political games or be vindictive towards London. This is far too serious a matter. I intend to stand firm and fight for the fair deal for Londoners and do what's right for our city." Mr Khan, a lot of people like Mr Khan, the Mayor of London. He does. Where was he just recently? It might have been at Wembley Arena just before Christmas. I was going to go to one of his shows, talking about his input in society, being the Mayor of London, what he can, being part of the TfL as well, how things are running, the new development of the infrastructure. I wanted to go. £20 ticket. Rishi Sunak's got one next, but I'm a conservative, obviously. But I did want to see. I said it can't. He has got some good incentive. Some of his some of his shows that he put on, some of his some of his talk shows he's put on have been pretty good. Silver bosses have asked for a 5.7 billion package to prop up services for the next 18 months after passengers numbers and revenues plummeted in the aftermath of the March lockdown. In May, the government granted TfL 1.6 billion in emergency fund to keep services running. Then on Friday, a last-minute extension of that bailout was secured to cover another 2 weeks. As part of the package of new measures, according to Mr Khan's office, ministers want to extend the £15 congestion charge zone to North and South Circular Road in a 12 months' time. Congestion charge is going up. That's why it's beneficial to listen in. I mean, some people come and go. They're going to get hit with this congestion charge. And not, I could have given, I could have prompted them with the bit of acknowledgement if they listened in. But if they didn't, they're going to miss out, unfortunately for them. But never mind. Impose and above inflation fares increases. They'd rather watch what's in EastEnders. What can EastEnders teach you about life? What can Home and Away teach you about life? I don't understand why. It's a gentleman's sport, isn't it? Politics. Not saying that women and ladies as well, but sophisticated one, the one that's going to take the family around. So you need to know these things. Everything in the sociological world as well. Housing, new house developments, everything's imposing everyone's everyday life, and they'd rather watch EastEnders. What can affect your life in politics? Listening in, you find out. Impose an above inflation fares increase. Introduce a new council tax percept charge in London for the unspecified amount. Union leaders have criticised the proposals, with some highlighting what they say is discrepancy in the government's treatment of private companies and TfL. We're going to look at the analysis. We're going to look at the analysis. The virus has ripped the heart of the TfL's finances, with fares down by 9%. The government is adopting a tough negotiating stance with the mayor of how money can be recouped and transport should be funded now in the absence of usual income. It's a condition that Sadiq Khan extended the congestion charge zone to within the North and South Circular. He's being pressured to agree to big fare hikes and removal of concessionary travel for children and pensioners. A plan has now emerged for a percept and extra component of the council tax and exists currently for the police. It would mean that the cost of public transport spread across all Londoners, whether they use it or not, but apparently no charge for the millions of users who lived outside the capital. There's been a ministerial threat to take direct control of TfL, and there are ominous rumblings from the unions. The pugnacious and a pro- provocative approach is emerging towards Labour-run developed administrations. For Boris Johnson, metro mayors are currently proving the real enemy. Rail, Maritime and Transport Union General Secretary Mike Cash said, "It is appalling that the government are targeting staff pensions amongst a range of other savage measures in a short-term funding deal. I put them on notice that any attempt to hack away at our members' pension rights will be met by the call-out campaign of political and industrial resistance." The Department for the Transport spokeswoman said, "We've agreed an extension to support the period and roll over the unspent funding from the Transport of London Extraordinary Funding Agreement, allow further time for negotiations for a new settlement. Those discussions will ensure London has a safe, reliable network. It will be inappropriate to disclose further details at this stage." Thank you all for coming through, ladies and gents, Castbox and YouTube. I appreciate you all coming in daily. Before we have a technical issue then, just going to see, oh, we've got one listener in. Thank you all for listening, well, that is listening. Is that you, Tony? You always here? I really appreciate your time. Racist attack investigation. More on NX phobia. Be opened by Met Police. Racist attack investigation reopened by Met Police. An investigation into a racist attack on three black women has been reopened by the Metropolitan Police. For nearly 2 weeks after the attack, officers failed to recover CCTV or take witness statements, even from the victims. The three women say the police made racist assumptions about them and that hampered the investigation. The Met denies this but has apologised for failing the woman and said it was reviewing the work. The force told the woman it has closed the probe into the crime into April and reopened it this month following Newsnight's investigation. I was being stamped on. The three women, who are from Somali descent, were attacked in northwest London on the 22nd of December by a gang of 7 white men who were shouting racist abuse. Returning from a night out, a taxi dropped them off at Kilburn Lane shortly before 3 a.m. and they went to a convenience store to buy snacks. One of the women, Nayad Farah, 38, lived nearby and her two friends planned to sleep at near her flat. Miss Farah was born in Wales but lived in London for 13 years. Two white women in the shop became aggressive when they heard one of her friends speaking on the phone in Swedish, saying she should speak English. She says her friend was then punched in the face by one of the white women, who were then waiting for her outside. That's not nice, is it? Moments later, Miss Farrier said she heard extremely offensive racial abuse being shouted by a group of 7 white men who approached them from a dark-coloured van parked on the opposite side of the road. She told Newsnight she was punched to the ground and dragged into the doorway next to the shop, while her two friends were also being punched and kicked on the ground. I was like being stamped on, but I just curled up on the floor. Visi- Visibly traumatized, she said. I think my son's not going to have a mum, and I'm going to be dead. She was kicked unconscious in the attack and needed hospital treatment for her head injuries and extensive bruising. Miss Farrer said Met's investigation of the attack was seriously flawed and claimed that the police made racist assumptions about her and her friends. She says an officer asked her in the hospital if she was buying anything of the men. She believes he has implying that they've been buying drugs and the woman knew the attackers. She has thought that the officer believed it was almost impossible for a racist attack to happen in the area. I feel like I was being interrogated, she added. New, then Bob Quick, former head of specialist operations at the Met, to review the case. He said the PC had asked whether the women who were buying drugs from the attackers. That does not imply the officers at the scene were working on some sort of assumption that they even knew the, the, perp- the perpetrators or were in some way engaging with them, maybe buying some drugs or whatever. If that's true, then that's inexcusable. Mr. Quick said the police absolutely have a duty to an objective and to jump to conclusions. The, the women believe racist assumptions are undermined by the police investigation, but the Met denies the claim. In a statement, it said the line of questioning should be not considering as an officer making assumptions or doubting the account given by the victim, and we refute any suggestions that this is what happened in the case. Our officers always keep an open mind as to circumstances of any attack and must build an understanding of the facts. For, from a very early stage, this was treated as a serious, racially aggravated assault committed by people unknown to the victims. Victims are let down. We're always talking about equalities day in, day out. I mean, we could question the equalities, people acting like a juvenile status. Is it necessary just because they wasn't speaking English? Newsnight also found police investigation were hampered by a serious basic mistake. For nearly 2 weeks after the attack, no effort was made to recover CCTV. No witnesses' statements were taken, even from the women who had been attacked, and no effort was made to trace a dark-coloured van associated with the men. By the time police tried the recovery CCTV in shops in Kilburn Lane in early January, footage has been recycled, overwritten by new material. Miss Farrier works in a charity for helps ex-prisoners. She said angry that Met failed to a statement from her until February, 2 months after the attack, and only after she chased them up. No statements from the other two women attacked. Both witnesses have ever been taken. Miss Quick said the Met's response has been woeful. This was an attack of extreme violence, and it was about compounded by the racial motivation, the evidence of which is clear. It had been potential to really impact on community confidence, he said. In response to the Newsnight's investigation, the Met has apologised to a woman, a spokesperson said in the incident she would have escalated and prioritised at an earlier stage. It added there was a delay and necessary follow-up inquiries had been made just after the incident and has hindered the subsequent investigation. This shouldn't have happened, and we are sorry for letting the victims in this case down. This was an appalling attack, which should have been investigated with greater urgency. I mean, we talk about inequalities and xenophobia all the time. You know, people acting prejudice to different ethnicities just because they can't speak their language. Is there any necessary for it? Acting as an extremist, whatever culture you're from, attacking the other. Is there any necessary for it? You're acting like a terrorist. You're juvenile. Why are you not brought up with better manners? I talk about evangelism, trying to better themselves over another culture. That's also acting, hate crime, fascist, xenophobia. It's terrible, ludicrous. Why do they do it? I can see why they do it in football. You're trying to get more supporters, trying to get a bigger crowd, trying to get better support. The more support you get, the better. Well, better equipment you get, it better. The more support you get, the better equipment you get, the better everything. The better your team. But I mean, like my radio, the more support I get my radio, the more I talk sense, the more people come through and support my show, the better the establishment. The better, I could have all the graphics behind me, like all the other radio presenters. That you see them on TV, but I don't want to be on the TV. I just want to be on my YouTube, build my YouTube coverage up, getting newcomers coming in. My YouTube, my Castbox is what I do daily. I thoroughly enjoy it. I do it every single day of the week. Southall, two people killed in shop. In Southall, two people killed in a shop and gas explosion. Two people have been killed in suspected gas explosion at a shop in West London. Firefighters have said. Well, I don't reckon that was done on purpose. The blast happened in a hair salon and mobile phone shop in King Street, Southall, just after 6:30 BST. Four adults and a child are known to have been rescued by the London, London Fire Brigade (LFB). Earlier, the Metropolitan Police said one man was found injured. The blast not being treated as suspicious, the force has been said. Station Commander Paul Morgan said, "Our crews continue to search property for using specialist equipment, including the use of urban search and rescue dogs. We can confirm that sadly two people have died at the scene. The explosion caused substantial damage to the shop and structural damage throughout. It is painstaking and protracted incident with firefighters working systematically to stabilise the building and search for people involved. People in them shop have basically been furloughed off." Jatinder Singh, the owner of Dr. Phone, said he was in a total shock when he received a call about the blast. Lost everything. The 36-year-old said they've closed off everything. It seems like an explosion of a gas cylinder, and there is a flat upstairs, and my shop is downstairs. I was shocked because my shop looks totally dead, finished, and the same with the barber. I can't see anything from where I'm standing, apart from the shutter and the main door, which is all trashed. Must be an absolute you living above your business, and it all gets taken off here, and your house is going to be, singed. Your house is going to be singed. Your carpet or whatever, it's going to be singed upstairs. Is it livable? I have lost everything. We were struggling from the coronavirus period as well. Too much stock in the shop and no sales for a long time, so I don't know how we'll survive. Insurance purposes, but your business has gone out the window. Oh my goodness, that has made a hell of a mess. I've counted 25 firefighters sitting here through the wreckage on King Street with police this morning. The explosion has also shut off a number of streets with the police on the scene to prevent people approaching the scene. It is a clear scene of devastation of several shops and flats, which the London Fire Bridge have called a structural collapse. Sadly, it looks as though the explosion may have claimed a few lives. A further 14 adults and two children excavated themselves then from nearby properties after the blast. FLB was called at 6:38 and sent about 45 fighters to the scene. It advised people to avoid the King Street area while the search continues. A London Ambulance Service spokeswoman said paramedics have treated and discharged one person. Ealing Council said it switched off the electricity and gas supply to some homes and businesses in the area and warned more properties might need to be evacuated. We're going to go into a bit international relations. I know obviously went a bit close to home, all different constituencies I've been with, and I relate with people in certain constituencies. I went to a Nigerian gospel church, so I have Nigerian international relations. They treated me into their spirit, the way their families are grounded, and that's how I'm grounded what I do because I was following their Christianity, same as mine, no different to mine, but their Christianity, the way they preach it from us, and you can feel it. Nigeria SARS protest earnest unrest in Lagos after shooting. Nigeria SARS protest unrest in Lagos after shooting. Demonstrators on Wednesday defied a curfew in Lagos to protest against the shootings. Buildings have been self-aflame and there are reports of gunfire in Nigeria's biggest city after demonstrators were shot at a protest. Witnesses of the rights group of Amnesty of International said several people were killed and wounded when soldiers opened fire in Lagos on Tuesday. Authorities have been opposed and indefinite round-the-clock curfew on the city and elsewhere, but some defied the order. Protests against a police unit have been taking place for 2 weeks. Demonstrators have been using the social media hashtag #EndSARS to rally crowds against the Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS. President Muhammadu Buhari disbanded SARS on 11th October, but protests have continued with demands for more changes in the security forces as well as reforms to the way the country is run. Buildings were set alight across the city and police put up roadblocks. A major Nigerian TV station with links to the ruling politician was on fire after people attacked with petrol bombs. Police in different districts of Lagos fired shots in the air on Wednesday to disperse protesters defying the curfew. The BBC's Nduka Orinjinamo reports from the capital of Abuja. He also reports the palace of the most senior traditional leader of the city was looted. Though the leader was evacuated beforehand. Authorities deny anybody was shot dead on Tuesday, saying that the number of people were wounded in the incident. What has happened in Lagos? Witnesses spoke of uniformed men opening fire at around 1,000 demonstrators in wealthy Lekki suburb on Tuesday. Soldiers were being barricaded by the protest site moments before the shooting. BBC Nigeria correspondent Mayeni Jones reports social media footage streamed live from the scenes shows protesters tended to the wounded. Lekki tollgate shooting. An unnamed witness has told the news that shortly before 7 o'clock local time, it was 6:18 GMT, soldiers pulled up. They started firing directly at peaceful protesters. They were firing, then they were advancing straight at us. It was chaos. Somebody got hit straight beside me, and he died on the spot, he said. In a tweet, Immensely International Nigeria said it was received credible but disturbing evidence of excessive use of force, occasioning deaths of protesters at Lekki Tollgate in Lagos, and a spokesman said they were working on certifying how many people were killed. Demonstrators defied a curfew in Lagos. UK protests got to think how lucky they are. How lucky are they? This morning we drove to Lekki IQ toll bridge, passing through the gates. That has been burned out of the night before. Broken glass from a number of businesses was scattered on the floor. Cash machines burned out. I mean, the protests in here, I mean, you see men and women getting thrown to the floor. People, all the critics on Facebook, oh, it's aggressive. That that is nothing compared to what some people are getting. It's mild, very, very mild. People in Nigeria, as you can hear, getting shot to death over a protest. Maybe that's how the government needs to be to make people behave themselves. But then the police become criminals just like everyone else. Closer to Lekki, where there are a number of shopping centres, the streets were mainly empty. It's bustling area usually, but no cars on the road, just young men on foot. At the Lekki gate itself, there were around 200 people who crowded round us, wanted to tell their stories of the night before, angrily but also determined to stand their ground. Pools of blood, could be seen on the floor. Protesters were waving flags and looked covered in blood. They told me that the Nigerian flag, usually green and white, turns green, red, green yesterday from all the killing. Many of them had been on the site of the shooting the night before and recounted horrifying stories of seeing other protesters shot before their eyes. The calls for police, we inform, have morphed into chants the presidential brewery must go. Demonstrators that are sick and tired of the status quo. How officials have responded. Lagos State Governor Budaji Sanwo Ulu said about 25 people have been wounded, adding the authorities were investigating the death of one man by the blunt force of trauma to the head. It is unclear if he was a demonstrator. On Wednesday, he called for the flags to be lowered in the government buildings and immediate suspension all of late state activities over the next 3 days. There's no excuse for that unfortunate incident that took place that night. As as the governor, I apologise for every action and inaction, he tweeted. Mr. Sanru Olu told BBC News Rush Hour programme that the military had been present at the scene. Despite public assurance, the soldiers would not deploy until after having started the curfew. I think about 7 o'clock or thereabouts. There'll be a small unit of military that went to Lekki, and we heard gunshots were fired, he said. The army has described media reports and about the incident as fake news. President Buhari did not directly refer to the shooting in a statement on Wednesday, but called on police to have a patience as police were informed to gather pace and appeal for understanding and calm. When what's been the international reaction? What's been the international reaction? Protests have been taking place in the UK, South Africa, and Kenya against police. Brutality in Nigeria, while officials around the world condemn Tuesday's events. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said it was alarming to learn several people have been killed and injured during the ongoing protests, adding it's crucial to bring those responsible to justice. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on police to act at all times with maximum restraint while calling on protesters and demonstrate peacefully and to refrain from violence. His spokesman said on Wednesday. Former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton called on President Buhari and the army to stop killing young #EndSARS protesters. As former US President Joe Biden, who is standing against President Donald Trump in next month's election, also urged authorities to end the violent crackdown on supporters. So we've got everything happening, not just in the UK, and a bit of international news there as well, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you so much for that like again. That must be the same person giving me a like on my show every day. I really, really appreciate it. It takes a lot out of you. I mean, it's not the hardest job in the world 'cause I'm only reading, but if you can't read, you're not fundamentally challenged to do it. But obviously, I've been reading for a long, long time, and I appreciate everyone giving me a bit of acknowledgement. And we can put our own stories, can't we? We can make our own assumptions that we can add to the stories. What can we do different to make society safer? Obviously, Nigeria's out of our hands, but all we can do is pray for them, send them our condolences. But yeah, when they come over to our country to get away from that such war-torn sort of society, you can see why they come to our to grant residence in the UK when people phone hate out towards them. Think otherwise because some people do need support. When obviously it's going to become a bit harder to get into the UK now. I'm assuming with this Brexit, with everything going through, they're going to need some sort of permit. They're going to come here, get education, go to work. That's what it's all about. I believe. Well, that's what it was about. But restrictions will become weaker. Who knows what's around the corner? But anyway, ladies and gents, I don't want to get myself too deep in a conversation. I'll get myself in trouble. because I respect the Nigerians what they've done for me. All the other anyone else, if it doesn't matter what culture, Islam, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhism, Catholic, wherever you are in the world, from the EU, whatever, you come there, you can do more work than me, more manual work than me. You're obviously welcome here by my authority. But thank you all for joining the show. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna try and share it and just get some more following. Try and get some more people interacting with the show. See how the impact of COVID-19 is impacting their business, their social, their social skills. You like to go with your friends. You want to go to the park. You want to go to the pub. I don't know. You got children. You need activities, don't you? You need stuff to do. Staying indoors, your kids are going to drive you insane. I should imagine if you've got 2 or 3 kids. There's only so much you can do with the kids. Watch film. What can you do? The kids do a bit of painting, bit of reading. Do your kids not reading? They don't at home. They want to have fun, don't they? Probably sit on their Xbox or whatever. But anyway, thank you all for coming through. Really appreciate it. Take care. One love, and speak soon.